This past Sunday evening, a member showed up to Mincha and Mariv we haven't seen in some time, and he happened to be the 10th man, which was wonderful. But more importantly, he volunteered his time afterwards to help us fix some of our Sifrei Torah. The Atzei Chaim, the handles had been loose, and he glued and secured them properly. The very next morning, on Monday morning, another member of our community who we hadn't seen in some time celebrated the second week post the second vaccine by coming to Minyan, and was surprised to see that his family Sefer Torah had been rehabilitated. We had not planned for the first individual to come, but the proximity of the events led to a wonderful outcome. We often have a choice when unexpected things happen. We can choose to see them as a matter of chance or as a matter of providence. Rabbi Norman Lamb, in his drasha on Parshat Vayikra, suggests that that is a key difference between a devout person and someone who is a skeptic. He notes that the language at the beginning of the Parsha Vayikra el Moshe that Hashem called out to Moshe contrasts with Vayikor Elokim el Bilam. And Rashi notes this comparison when Hashem calls out to the non-Jewish prophet of Bilam. The words Vayikra and Vayikor are quite similar. Nevertheless, there is a critical difference between them, as Vayikra is Lashon Chiba, a warm calling, whereas Vayikor is a cold, sort of happenstance kind of calling. Rabbi Lamb says that our attitude on significant events in our life can be seen through the lens of these two words. Vayikra denotes that we were called for a reason, that there is a greater context and purpose behind an experience that we have that we didn't expect, whereas Vayikor reflects the person who just sees something that happens to him as luck. A Moshe kind of personality who saw the burning bush, stops and pauses to appreciate its place, its significance, whereas a Bilam kind of personality would have just passed by, regarded it as an improbable confluence of temperature and pressure and oxygen, but that's not the way that Moshe experienced it. A Bilam kind of personality would celebrate Pesach as merely a fortuitous configuration of natural, political, and diplomatic events. All of Yetziat Mitzrayim and even the splitting of the sea can be interpreted through a string of lucky accidents and scientific abnormalities. But Moshe led the Jewish people to see these events not as a matter of chance, but as divine providence. It all depends on how we look at things, our attitude, whether it is the attitude of Vayikra or an attitude of Vayikor. And to extenuate the difference between these two outlooks, there is a slight difference between these two words in the letter Aleph, and that is extenuated even further by the Aleph at the beginning of Vayikra being a smaller Aleph, to show that there is only a very little difference between these two attitudes, between the attitude of seeing things as purposeful, as significant, as having a greater reason behind them, or having things just be a matter of luck and chance. And yet, the consequences between those two attitudes are almost infinite. I hope we can appreciate this subtle but significant difference as we head into Pesach and as we hear the words of Vayikra el Moshe this week.